Hey everyone, my name is Molly and I'm going to introduce our group's case study to you all. So our case study takes place in a West African village about 15 miles from the nearest town during the area's dry season. This village is in Mali and the specific tribe holds tightly to traditional African values and customs, and it practices animism. There are no Christians in this area. 2 female Southern Baptist missionaries are working in this village, as well as 2 male Wycliffe Bible translators. After studying the scriptures with the missionaries and the translators, a man named Andrew comes to faith one day and wants to be baptized. For cultural reasons, it would not be appropriate for the women to perform the baptism. Additionally, this is the first baptism in the village, so this occurrence sets the precedent for all future conversions and baptisms. As mentioned earlier, there are 2 male Wycliffe translators working in the area who were instrumental in Andrew's conversion. However, their organization requires that men be ordained before performing a baptism. There is a Protestant church in the town that is 15 miles away, and this church requires its prospective members to go to a baptismal class, and they only baptize people once a year. Additionally, as I talked about earlier, this country is in its dry season, so all the missionaries are trying to find the best method for baptizing Andrew by full submersion. All the workers there know that Andrew has a solid understanding and desire to follow Jesus, and when asked, Andrew is persistent that he does wish to be baptized soon. So the question that we're answering is, what should this baptism look like? So Cody is going to talk after me about some of the issues, what is an issue, what's a contextualization issue in this, and then Brandon will give you our proposed solution to this case study.
Thanks, Molly. As Molly stated, Andrew's decision to follow Jesus and be baptized is setting a precedent for any mission work in this village in Mali. That said, there are many contextualization issues that we must work through, and some of the most apparent are, what does the dry season mean for a mode and timing of baptism? Is a trash can baptism really the way to go? Who should be the one to baptize Andrew? The Wycliffe workers, Liz and Paula, or the other Protestant church 15 miles away? How long is it okay to wait before the actual event of baptism occurs? Andrew's pretty eager, but the church down the road wants to go through classes first. How far is too far to travel to be a part of a church to be baptized? Once again, is 15 miles okay? How will Andrew's decision to follow Jesus and be baptized be interpreted by the animists? What do Liz and Paula have to work through as far as those ramifications go? And believe it or not, these are just the beginning. As contextualizers, we have to think through all of these issues and more while we make disciples among the nations. Especially, as Liz and Paula have experienced here, we have to begin thinking quickly, especially when disciples such as Andrew have an eagerness to follow in the Ethiopian eunuch's footsteps. With that in mind, though, Andrew is going to join us and discuss what we think would be a possible solution to this problem.
Our proposed solution, then, is to send Andrew to that church 15 miles away so that he can go to the baptism class and be baptized into a local church. This way, Andrew can be equipped while also doing ministry in his home village. He then can baptize future believers and help the 2 missionary girls establish a local church once there are more believers gathering and choosing to identify as a church. There are a few caveats to this solution. First, all this would depend on if Andrew is willing to be a part of this Protestant church in town and if he's willing to wait on being baptized. The 2 female missionaries say that Andrew has a close relationship with the people in that church already, and that he has a solid understanding and desire to follow Jesus, so it shouldn't be an issue. Another caveat is if the Protestant church in town is at least in agreement on doctrinal positions such as holding to believers' baptism by immersion. An additional potential issue is if the village Andrew lives in is too isolated from the church in town, and if travel would be too difficult for him. If it is almost impossible to have him travel to the town, the 2 female missionaries will need to wait on a male believer to arrive at the village in order to baptize Andrew due to the cultural gender roles previously mentioned. And they will need to construct an adequate baptismal for his immersion. We do believe that it is worth working alongside existing churches and making sure that this baptism is conducted in a way that won't hinder future growth in the village.